Here's Grimby.
Hello?
So, you're here for Chief Hebbe, we'll need you to sign in.
You want us to sign in?
Yep.
Why do you want us to sign in?
That's our procedure for people going into City Hall past the lobby.
Coffee, mail order.
What's up, David?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. Hello.
Hi, if you're here for Chief Hebbe, please sign in. And it's 5:57.
All right.
Then you'll just hold on for a moment while I get everybody signed in. I'll take you down.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alfredo
Hi,
Gonzalez.
guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Is it locked or
So
what?
take us on down. I guess it must be.
A locked door public meeting, huh?
Extra security. Security is tight.
Right.
How you been there, man? Busy?
Yeah. Yep.
Good, good.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot to cover, huh?
There is.
Yeah, for me too, I know.
Sign in, Chris. Under duress.
You checking IDs here?
I'm not just asking you to sign in.
Oh yeah, welcome in.
You're not going to let us in if we don't sign in?
I'm not going to deny you, but this is part of our safety procedures. That way, if there is a fire alarm or a fire, we know the people that we're looking for that are still in the building.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Okay, I can write your name down for you.
You know my name?
Your name is Justin Chi, and your name is Adam Howell.
I didn't see you. I didn't sign it.
All right. Well, she signed us in.
Good. You're in. Without presentation of identification.
Yeah, without presenting ID.
All right, come on in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you lock the doors after? I mean, are you going to be at the doorway letting people in as they come?
Yes, you just ring the bell. We sign you in. We escort you down.
Okay.
That's for all of our meetings that are not in the lobby or the council chamber. And it's right in there.
Okay.
I can get one for you right after the meeting if you want. Okay. For the next.
How's it going? Not really.
Extremely busy, but
I
good.
wasn't ignoring your emails. I know. So when you asked me that question, I just wanted to say, I was on vacation, so.
Since Gloria's not gonna make it, and Tracy said she may or may not.
Okay.
She wasn't sure.
Gloria had,
Right after the meeting. Oh, wait, I'll call.
So we're not expecting anybody else? Nope. All right.
Okay, I have 6:01, we'll call the meeting to order. Here's, we have a quorum here. First item on the agenda is recognition of service by Mayor Duckett. Welcome, Mayor. It's good to see you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you for allowing me the opportunity this evening to join you at your meeting. I thought about calling you guys at my meeting, but I thought it'd be better to come and do this here with you. You know, we want to take the opportunities when we can to recognize people for doing the right things. And we encourage folks to get involved in their community in many different ways, in ways that their strengths can meet their passions and the needs of this community. And for those individuals who choose to serve on advisory commissions, I think it's important that we recognize that a part of what makes local government successful is transparency. And when you invite citizens to come and sit on these advisory boards and hear kind of what's happening in the community from the standpoint of the local government entity versus what they're seeing out in the community, I think it's a big deal. We've been fortunate to have committed individuals like yourselves who are interested to be here, want to be involved, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. You're not the only commission that obviously recognizes you. I think we have a dozen or more commissions, so you know, quite a number of individuals who represent a very large portion of this community. So I wanted to come and recognize you on behalf of myself, the City Council, for the work that you do, and also encourage you from the standpoint of what I deem kind of the four main elements of being a committed community member. Those would be service, stewardship, civility, and citizenship. There's also ambassadorship. And when opportunities arise for those who are engaged in these processes to educate folks, to provide input on things that you may know about that others don't, I would just encourage you in that regard. There's a lot of things that get put out, you know, across different medias, and at times we may know something or have access to resources to individuals who may know something that could help folks in those situations. So I would just encourage you on that. But more than anything, I just wanted to come here tonight and present just these tokens of our appreciation for the work that you do. It's very meaningful, and so thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any questions or anything I can answer? I'm sorry that some of our commissioners are not here tonight, but we'll make sure they get the. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, you're welcome. Any questions?
No, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, sir. No, I know you don't. I know you don't. If you'll just- All right.
Hey, how many other ones have you seen on this? All right.
I don't think it was.
Approval of the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the March 21st, 2023 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them?
Yes.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March 21st, 2023 meeting. Sorry.
Make a motion.
I'll second. We have a first by David and a second by Michelle. Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes from March 21st, 2023 meeting are approved. We have an open meetings resolution to look at. So normally this commission meets the first, second, third Tuesday?
Third Tuesday
Of every other month. Okay. At 6 o'clock, and the proposal is to keep it that way. Was there a proposal to move it to 5:30?
We can have discussion about moving it to 5:30 if it works for all the other commissioners.
So the resolution as it stands right now would be to leave it at 6 o'clock. 5:30 would work perfect for me. What are the other members?
I'd be perfectly fine with that.
That works for me.
I want 6.
You want 6, David? Okay. Doesn't matter to you? And the other two aren't you?
That's what they expect.
All right, well, the resolution is for 6 o'clock, so shall we leave it that, or should we do the majority, 3 to?
say do the
Could you
majority.
make it at 5:30, David?
Sure, anytime. Could be here anytime, I'm just being difficult, it's fine, 5:30 is fine.
All right. If so, I'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution changing the meeting time to 5:30 on every other Tuesday in January, March, May, July, September, and November.
So moved.
A motion by Terry, second by Michelle. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. The resolution is approved, setting the regular open meeting of the Citizens Police Advisory Committee for the third Tuesday at 5:30. Next item,
Are you signing that for us?
are you gonna retype it, Kate?
Yeah, she'll sign it after I make the change.
Next item on the agenda is Police Chief's report. Chief Hebbe is here in person. Welcome.
Hi, Chief.
How are y'all?
Great, it's been a while.
It has been a while,
We
so.
missed a month.
Yes, I'll start with that. I apologize for the late cancellation, with the events that we had the day before. I was scrambling to get back here, so I couldn't just even pick it up. Command staff was still trying to unbury us from the mass shooting. It was a bad time, so I don't do that. Never done that, as a matter of fact. But I appreciate your patience on that with us. That's probably not a bad spot to start. It's been a tough couple of months for the PD, no doubt about it, back to early April. We've had a long stretch. I'll point out in back is Sergeant Rachel DeSenza. Sergeant DeSenza was the officer who was shot in the May 15th incident. We've got her right now. She's back on light duty, and she's working internal affairs, helping us out up there as she fully recovers. But that was the second and third officer in San Juan County that were shot in the last 18 months, from Officer Barretto's shooting in January of last year to May, two more officers being shot. And of course, I'm sure you all know that an officer was killed on Alamogordo yesterday. So it's been a violent year and a half for the PD as well. And some of that also probably then plays into some of the other stuff that I'll talk about, which is, our numbers continue to be probably my number one priority of trying to fix, but are not easily fixed. So we had looked at some data that had, in the 18 months since January 1st of last year, we lost 48 officers in one form or another. Sometimes that's retirements, sometimes that's not completing their probation, sometimes that's termination, sometimes it's they just depart. But 48 in 18 months is a staggering number, really, for a department that's authorized 138 to begin with. And it's kind of symptomatic of the stuff we've been talking about over the last couple of years, really. As the PD has tried to get our numbers back up, we have struggled with that. We're doing a better job on the recruiting end of it. So we just graduated an academy last month with 10 graduating. And we're starting another academy, I guess last week, with 10 in that. So we're doing a better job there, and we are attracting applicants, but the retention thing has been difficult for us, and continues to be. So the events of the last few months did not help at all, and I know that at least a couple of our officers have left directly as a result of what we saw over the last couple of months. Which there's just not going to be a lot we can do other than to provide as much support as we can, which we do. We have counseling, as you probably do remember. We've had counseling now for 2.5 years, a grant that we applied for. Gives us local counselors for officers and their families as they go through things like that. So we're doing the best that we can right now with the information that we have about why officers are leaving, but just in general, it isn't a great time to be a police officer. And so others, sometimes they're opting to depart. But that is our number one priority, is to try and turn the corner on that. I'm sure Mr. Bratcher knows that it is difficult. You can recruit, but you gotta retain. And so we're struggling on that, and we're doing the best that we can with some out of the box thinking to see if we can fix that. Some of the other things that we've had going, which you guys have tracked some, We're still trying to get ourselves roughed up to move into the new building. That is sitting out there, and we're utilizing it a little bit, and starting to use it a little bit more for training events and things like that. But in general, we've got plans approved, and now we're waiting on the architects to come back and say, okay, this is what we think roughly the cost is gonna be to build it out like you're requiring. And from there, then we'll have an internal discussion with the city to see what can we do internally to the city, what do we have the staffing for, and then B, what do we have the talent for, that we can do, as fast as we can with the city help, and then when we don't have that ability, or we can't get to it quickly enough, then we look at how expensive it would be to contract out for it. My guess is you're probably a year and a half out. That might even still be optimistic, could be as much as 2 years out, to build out the entire facility. That would include the locker rooms, the weight room, things like that, the armory, our evidence room. So the majority of the building is fantastic, and we will be kind of moving plug and play in. But it's those big ticket items that will need to get subbed. Where are we gonna put evidence, and where are we gonna put all our record stuff? You can live with things like the weight room, you can get to that later on, but the armory you gotta have. So we're kind of parsing through what would be our priorities, and then what can we afford to do and how fast, in order to kind of map out. My guess is I will have something late in the fall from the architects that say, here's kind of your costs, and by then we'll also then meet as a city and start figuring out what we think the timeline is for us to do. So it isn't as fast as I wish it would be, but it is moving, and like I said, we actually are using it for things like trainings that previously we probably would have been trying to wedge ourselves into the civic center or something like that for. So our significant challenge really, as far as crime and what's going on in the community, obviously gun violence has been a big one for us over the last year and a half. It's been one of our top priorities, but the second one is dogging us as bad or worse, and that's traffic. So we had another fatality accident this weekend. I was down this last weekend, visited with the families of 2 of our crash victims over the last couple of months, both with very significant injuries that they're trying to recover and rebound, one of them a 2-year-old. So traffic is a major emphasis for us and for our officers, and if you haven't seen our red and blue lights out there lately, you will be seeing them, but we've been hitting it pretty hard here over the last month or so. I expect that we continue to do that. We've got to get control on things like the speeding and the racings, and also just the inattentive driving, the cell phones and things like that. So you will see us out. It is a major point of emphasis. We know that that's one of our big weaknesses right now is what looks like, what our critical injury crashes look like, and it's something we're working hard on. The rub to that is, as you have less officers on the street, they're now tied up more with responding to calls. So we're trying to manufacture some time in order to free up the ability for them to do that. Sometimes that means we're pulling people off of patrol and we're sticking them onto details to do nothing but traffic. Other times it means we're letting calls hold for a while and we're going and rallying up. Really, it's whatever the shift thinks that they can make happen with the numbers that they've got. We have an overlap day of Wednesday, so I'd probably urge everyone to drive carefully on Wednesdays because we have the staffing and we'll have the downtime in order to enforce it. But looking at some of the other time periods, we're trying to be as creative as we can. But there's no doubt, we recognize it's a significant threat for us and challenge for us. So that's really my briefing to you. I can go into more on any of the events if you would like me to, but I think you've watched the press conferences and read the articles and seen the interviews, of which there was plenty of them. It was a long stretch for us in the wake of it, and it was disappointing on 2 levels that Farmington made national news as much as we did. Certainly not the way that we were trying to. But with that, I'll throw it over to you for questions.
How did the budgeting process go with the city?
Budgeting process was not bad for us, except in the area of vehicles. We continue to be shy on capital money, Vehicles that continue to be a challenge. They were for us last year as well. And another year of it is concerning to us. Some of that goes to the discussion of how much can the city do with the new building, right? The more money I spend on the new building, the less money we have for vehicles. So that really fuels some of the cost cutting that we're trying to do with how we build out the new facility. But vehicles are a challenge for us. On the other hand, in other areas, we did we're happy with the budget. We got a lot of the things for the real-time crime center on a continuing basis. We're looking to civilianize a couple of more positions in there, which is a good thing. We're looking at partnering one position with Bloomfield so that we will take over Bloomfield's cameras, and they're gonna partially fund a position to allow us to staff more often, which is a good thing for the county area. And we're looking to civilianize a supervisor, which will throw a sworn officer back into the mix for other assignments. So, there were things that I was pleased with in the budget. Our overtime and our training has always been generous, but vehicles would be a challenge for us in a few years.
We discussed that at the last meeting, actually, a couple months.
Yeah.
Months,
Yeah.
sorry. 4 months to be exact. So I just wanted to commend law enforcement, Farmington Police Department, State Police, County on the incredible job at the mass shooting. That the response was just just hard to believe even how quickly everybody was able to respond. It's sad that we lost 3 lives, but I think it would have been a lot worse had law enforcement not responded so quickly. I just think that all law enforcement in this area needs to be commended and applauded for that, so thank you.
And how are you doing?
I'm recovering, thank you.
You're recovering?
Yes. I'm happy to be back.
Good. We're glad you're okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I thought the initial response by the main body, and it was those 4 officers, and then Officer Downs was with them. So we had 5 officers responding as a team, and the way they were hustling to contact, I was very proud of. And of course, it's our training, but you never know until the moment is there in front of them, and they really responded. I was proud of the citizens. They came out and really helped us track down where the suspect was, where he was going to. It was a different scenario for us, right? We track mass shootings in schools or businesses at Walmart or something like that. This was different. It was out in the neighborhood, and he's just kind of roaming down the neighborhood. So without citizens helping us pinpoint it pretty quickly, it was going to be a much more prolonged search for him. In this case, they were able to pinpoint it quickly. They charged in. They were able to neutralize him quickly, and then we got medics in there pretty quickly. It really, what you had was all the way down to the hospital. The hospital staff locked down the ER, and they were all standing by expecting a lot of casualties to come in. So it was really an excellent example of some of the inter-county training that all the different agencies have done. Dispatch was doing a fantastic job. The county and Bloomfield and Aztec PD scrambled over. Fire and medics were racing into the zone. So it really was about as good as you could have done. But for me as chief, with 3 people killed, it was difficult. It was difficult day. Certainly not what we would have wanted. So.
How closely did the response follow all the training?
Really, good. They really did scramble together well. There was good communication on the radio, like you saw in the videos. They got themselves organized into a team, so it wasn't disorganized and we're just kind of scrambling around. They got themselves organized. They knew their plan. They moved in right up to the when the suspect goes down, the officers yelling cease fire, and we stop firing, and we now start moving in and trying to apply medical care. So really, it was everything you could have hoped for out of it.
That's awesome. Good. I'm glad the training's working. So, anybody else have questions for Chief? Mr. Ratchet?
Oh, no, I don't have any questions, thank you.
All right.
That's
Thank
all
you,
good.
Chief. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Internal Affairs, Captain Lacey. Hot
Good
seat.
evening. So Lieutenant Smith and Sergeant Sproul will come up and go through the numbers in a moment. I'll just go over some general, probably the biggest thing that's happened in this division is we've had a lot of movement in the division. So over the past 6-8 months or so, I went from being the lieutenant over professional standards to getting promoted to captain. Lieutenant Smith promoted and backfilled my position there. Sergeant Goodsell, who was one of the IA investigators, promoted to lieutenant, so he's moved over detectives now. We had Sergeant Mosley in use of force. He moved over to the IA investigator spot. And then, or I'm sorry, before that actually, Sergeant Sproul was in use of force, moved into IA. We backfilled him with Sergeant Mosley, and now Sergeant Gaines has moved back to patrol. And so now we've backfilled his position with Sergeant Sitton. So a lot of new faces that you guys will see. Sergeant Sitton and Sergeant Mosley are currently out of town on training right now, so they were not able to make it tonight. But y'all will be seeing them in future meetings, and so they're working on learning their new positions and getting their feet underneath them with that. So
A lot of changes going on.
there is, we've had a lot of movement in this division. So with that, I'll have Lieutenant Smith and Sergeant Sproul come up and they can go through the numbers.
All right, I'll start with the internal affairs report. So we're comparing May of last year versus May of this year. Last year, as far as citizens' complaints go, we didn't have any. This year we had 2. So the allegations for this year encompassed unsatisfactory performance, conformance to laws, possession and use of drugs, and sexual misconduct. 2 of those were exonerated. 1 was unsustained, and 1 is still pending. I'm sorry. Yes, 1 is still pending. So we had 2 exonerated, 1 is pending, and 1 was unsustained. Out of the internal investigations last year, we did not have any either. This year we had 2. 5 of them were for use of force. Reporting and investigating force is 1. Unbecoming conduct is 1. And then in-car and wearable video cameras is 2. The use of force, it should just be noted that anytime we have an officer-involved shooting, that is automatically goes to internal affairs to be reviewed. So that's where part of those numbers come from. That's why they're so high. 1 of those has been exonerated. We have 2 sustained allegations, and 6 of them are still pending. So inquiries, corrective action, disciplinary actions. Last year we had 2. 8 of those were for court appearance. 1 was for reporting for duty, and 1 was for the special weapons and tactics team. Compared to this year, we had 5 corrective action and disciplinary actions, and all 5 were for court appearance. For June of last year, there was 1 citizen complaint, and that was for in-car and wearable video cameras, courtesy, unsatisfactory performance times 2. 3 were exonerated and 1 was unsustained. Compared to this year, we had 1 citizen's complaint. It was for unsatisfactory performance, use of force, 2 allegations there, and 2 allegations of prohibition against bias-based profiling in detention and arrest. All 5 of those are pending. Internal investigations last year, we had 5. 6 of them were for use of force, 1 for unbecoming conduct, 1 for insubordination and intemperate behavior, 1 was for in-car and wearable video cameras, 1 for truthfulness, an allegation of illness or injury to report, an allegation of unsatisfactory performance, and 1 for departmental reports. 3 of those were exonerated. 5 of them were sustained, One was unsustained, one was a policy failure, 2 were unfounded, and one of the allegations is still pending. Compared to this year, for internal investigations, we didn't have any internal investigations in June. As far as inquiries and corrective action, disciplinary action, there were 4 last year, and they were all for court appearance, compared to 4 this year. The same, they were for court appearance, and all of which were sustained. Do you have any questions on any of that?
And the numbers don't match because of the reporting, right?
Right, so we may have 2 citizens' complaints, but there might be 5 different allegations in those, each one of them. So while we only have 2 citizens' complaints, there's 7 or 8 allegations. That's why they're, in the citizens' complaint, they're alleging multiple violations.
Right. Okay.
Would you like me to go over the March and April numbers since we didn't do it last time? I have them, if you would like.
I was just looking at it.
We were here in March, but we went over the January and February numbers.
And then we missed May. So,
It's up to you, I can go over them, or you can review them and ask questions.
March,
if you have.
April, and May.
Well, let's give it a couple minutes just to look at it, and I have questions instead of you having to go through them all.
I think that's, yeah, we're looking at, yeah. Jump out.
I'm just looking at March, the inquiries, 13 last year and 2 this year. That's good. April, 5 uses of forces, and those are all pending.
Yeah.
That's the homeowner shooting. Court appearances is getting better.
Well, this last
Little
one.
bit up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
the way, but it's kind of the most common thing that you see.
It is, I mean,
And it's tough with courts still, some, I don't know what municipal courts are doing, but magistrate and district, or some hearings are in person, some aren't.
Yes. Our MDD hearings are the same way. Some are in person, some are over Zoom meetings, some are purely telephonical. So.
Yeah, it's gotta be hard for the officers to remember where to hear. I don't have a need to go through them. Does anybody have a burning desire for them to go through March, April, and May? March and April would really get March and April, yeah.
All right, then I will cover the use of force reports in started citizens' absence. So I'll start with March of this year. We only had 2 use of force incidents in March of 2023 versus 8 in March of 2022. In those 2, we had 3 officers using force, and remember that multiple officers can use either multiple applications of force or multiple officers can be involved in the same use of force. So all 3 of those were unarmed arrest techniques. And you'll see that, you know, with the numbers being significantly lower than those of March in 2022, all of the remaining categories are significantly lower as well. So, going into April, we also had a lower number of uses of force in 2023. In April of 2022, we had 6, but this April we only had 3. We had a total of 6 officers using force in those incidents with 7 applications of force. And 4 of those involved unarmed arrest techniques. And then 3 of those involved utilizing a firearm. And that resulted in 1 lethal casualty. Any questions about any of that before we move on to me? All right. So in May of this year, our uses of force were up. And last year, we only used 3. We only had 3 incidents involving force, but this year we had 10. It's not atypical for warmer months to, we start seeing a little bit of an increase in that, so nothing concerning. In those 10 uses of force, a total of 16 officers were involved with 27 applications of force. 7 of those involved unarmed arrest techniques. 1 involved a taser utilization. 1 involved utilizing OC spray, and 1 involved firearms. We had 2 officers injured during those uses of force. 4 suspects were injured, with 3 of those being minor injuries and 1 being a fatal injury. Any questions before I move on to June?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
The 7 of the unarmed arrest techniques. Is that broken down somewhere by the different techniques that they use?
They describe it in their reports, but we don't break it down because they're all considered, typically they're all considered a level 1 use of force.
What would you say then?
Sometimes it's wrist locks, sometimes it's just resisted
By
handcuffing.
the head tilt?
We don't really utilize that so much anymore.
It's an inside joke. We were given a class on the head tilt.
Oh, okay.
Was it a couple of years ago, 3 years ago,
It's
4?
been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
That's the only reason I asked. It was a great technique. I love it.
Any other questions? No. So in June of this year, we had 10 uses of force, which is down from June of last year at 15. In those 10 incidents this year, 14 officers utilized force with a total of 17 applications of force. 9 of those were unarmed arrest techniques. 1 involved the utilization of OC spray. There was 1 suspect injured, and that was a minor injury. And again, because the number of force incidents was lower, the remaining numbers are pretty significantly lower than they were in June of last year. Any questions?
Getting better. Better every year.
No, thank you. Any questions? Any new business? Members? Okay. Any business from the floor? Any citizens who want to address the committee will need to sign in prior to the meeting. If you have comments, we'd ask you to limit them to 3 minutes. Is there any business from the floor?
Yes. Yeah, my name's Adam Howell. Andrea signed me in. I'm here to redress my grievances. Police officers at Farmington Police Department have a problem with allowing transparency and respecting the people's civil rights that we, the people, should have under the United States Constitution in public. Under the threat of arrest or citation, I have been forced to leave a public building in Farmington because of my video recording that I was doing in a public lobby. While asking questions about their services and gathering content for news media purposes, a Farmington PD officer kicked me out. That behavior of removing me from a public building because of my video recording is unconstitutional First Amendment retaliation. Removing someone from public because of their clearly established First Amendment right is illegal. That was the decision of an oath-breaking Farmington PD officer. Him bullying me off of public property was wrong since I had not broken any laws. Moreover, I was also prohibited from attending the press conference about the mass shooting in Farmington by Officer Downs, Sergeant Luther Mosley, and Eva Barron. After investigating further, it was clear that Farmington Police would not let me in because I lacked the credentials they requested. However, the police officers could not tell me what standards one needed for acquiring such credentials. These law enforcement officers at Farmington Police Department physically blocked my entrance to the meeting. The police had no narrow and specific standards to use in determining whether or not I was credentialed enough to the standard that they required. The Farmington police staff excluded me based on their viewpoint discrimination. I'm here to tell you that I believe your department's exclusion of me from a press conference is a First Amendment violation for discriminating against me based on the viewpoints that I express in my videos as part of the free speech and free press process. Furthermore, this exclusion of me as an independent journalist represents an apparent Fifth Amendment violation for excluding me from exercising my First Amendment rights without any due process of law. In the District Court of Columbia Circuit case law known as Sherrill versus Knight, the U.S. Court of Appeals appears to have ruled that the White House has to develop narrow and specific standards for denying someone a press pass. I wonder what standards the Farmington Police Department has written for denying press passes to independent journalists who want to attend press conferences. After a little investigation, there appears to be no such standards, and the only observable thing is a retaliatory process of viewpoint discrimination. This process that Farmington Police has of enforcing the feelings of other butthurt city officials has to stop. Stop violating our rights, stop enforcing feelings, honor your oath, and press for transparency.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. We appreciate your comments. No formal action will be taken at this meeting that relates to any of the comments or input from the public. We will take them under advisement. Any
I would like
other
to voice
business on the floor?
my concerns too.
And your
Same.
name is?
Justin, Chief.
Justin Chief.
Yes. The same thing, I'm an independent journalist under the Constitution of the United States, freedom of press. You know, 5 elements. I don't know if the police officers, public servants here know the 5 elements, you know, freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, and freedom to petition the government. And I'm an independent journalist who gathers public information for public interest. And I was with Press for Transparency during the incidents that we were illegally trespassed from the San Juan County Farmington Health Department because their feelings got hurt. And the same thing, I was with him over at the conference. And I tried to tell them that they were cherry picking who can come in as press. And it's United States constitutional. Protected activity is what it is. And I mentioned the 5 elements, and I told them, what did I just mention in one of those elements? Freedom of press. But you know, the same thing. Officer beat downs, Sergeant Luther, Mosley, Eva Byrne, they all violated my First Amendment under the Constitution, under the first. And about last month on the 14th here, I came into this building, City Hall, multiple times. And same thing, the clerks got their feelings hurt because I was trying to keep them transparent and accountable. Requesting public records, filling out complaints, turning them in, and maybe a 5th, 6th visit I came in, they had signs, unlawful signs up there saying no video or photography in the lobby, in the public lobby in there. And that's all on my video. My channel name is Four Corner Fistntheair. You know, I'm from the Navajo Reservation. So then Jay Stearman showed up, and he bullied him and Mr. Mark Gaines. They bullied me out of the lobby, told me that the new policies were put in. I found out city manager. What's the city manager's name?
Rob Mays.
Rob Mays. I found out Rob Mays passed these policies, and policies are not for the public. The policies are for public employees, public servants. And what Jay Stearman told me that the new policies were put in that day to stay 25 feet away from the public employee of City of Farmington. And so he went and used his bully tactics. He took advantage of his badge, and he bullied me all the way out to him and Mark Gaines bullied me all the way out to the sidewalk out there. And that's all on my channel. And people are watching. So, you know, I'm just here standing up for my rights and everybody else's rights, the future children's rights. And this is the reason why I'm doing it, because they're like muscles. You know, rights, if you don't exercise them, they go away, right? Yeah, so It's terrible what's going on. I don't know if the chief is teaching the public servants under him, giving them training under the First Amendment. All my videos, it doesn't show. So they've been violating my rights ever since I've started this. I'm going about a year and a half now, exercising my rights under the First Amendment, gathering public information for public interest. Like I said, it's a constitutional protected activity. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. Again, we appreciate your comments. No formal action will be taken at this meeting as it relates to the comments or input from the public, so it will be taken under advisement. Thank you very much. Any other business from the floor?
I'd like to ask Chief Hebbe to give us an update on the double homicide, if you possibly could, out at Highway 64.
That's not in my jurisdiction, that's a county case.
It's county now? Okay, I'm sorry, that's correct. What about the Robert Dodson case? What is an update on that?
I can't give you an update on the investigation, you'd have to talk to the state police there.
State police? Okay, thank you.
And your name is, sir?
David Albright, Tri-City Record.
David Albright. Any other business from the floor? We'll close that part of the...
Do you have something to say?
Yeah?
Yes, thank you. My name's Joe Hubbard, and I'd like to start with my prayers are with everyone in this room. My heart still hurts. But I do have a question, if it's all right, regarding the killer from Farmington High. Was there any indication that the counselors picked up? Our society is changing so awfully. There was a time when the counselors focused on the futures, the careers of the students. And now we gotta look for sick kids too. There was a time not that long ago that our police officers went their entire careers without drawing their weapons except at the firing range. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albright. We appreciate it. Any other business from the floor? If not, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session to pursuant to section 1015 1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act to review and consider case number 2023-015.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to close the meeting pursuant to the statute just quoted. Or is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The meeting is now closed. I'd ask everybody in the public to leave, please.
Thank you.
If you'll take a left for me, sir.
Thanks. You're welcome. Thanks, appreciate it. You're welcome.
Talk to the ACLU.
I could.
You need a lawyer, man. I mean, you can't do anything without a lawyer. You
Yeah.
can sue them.
I know.
But it costs money, unless you can get it pro bono.
There's an attorney on one of them, but I don't know
Look
where
for-
it's at.
Look for free legal representation on this sort of thing.
Yeah, I got one that's offering to do it. He calls it by contingency. And so I don't
So
know.
is this what this police force is like? They just muscle themselves around? See, I've only lived here 15 months. I moved here from Northeast Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Regretfully, I'm moving back there next year after I sell my house. I hate it here.
Uh-huh.
They did a damn good job on that shooting. They had their shit together.
Right.
But I don't know, I mean, they don't like filming or stuff. And
If you guys wish to come back, when they're done, somebody will come get you. When they're
From
done.
the lobby?
Yeah, if you want to hang out here, somebody will come get you after the closed session.
Sure.
Good job.
Hey, thank you.
Very good.
Thanks for carrying
You
that.
too, Jessica. Yeah, that was great. You got up and spoke, man, for your rights.
Right?
That's what more people need to do.
Freedom of speech, right?
This way, hey, when will your video be available, you guys?
It's online right now, but
It's already online.
it'll take a little while to load completely. It's
It'll
live.
it'll kind of be helpful for you to send me a copy when I write this.
It's
Although
live.
I recorded it. I got everything recorded, but, you know, so I have a transcript.
Yeah. So it's on my live.
And you are pressed for transparency.
Yeah. So I've written this right here.
Yeah.
That's what I said to that point right there. You can have this. if you
Oh,
want.
okay.
Is that?
But
I
I
can say it
didn't
again.
get it recorded, so I got a transcript of it. Good job.
You want to introduce yourself and
Record you?
David Albright, Tri-City Record.
you work here locally for?
Yeah, we're trying to do our very best to provide coverage, good, objective coverage of the local news and events. It's been challenging, but it's fun. Yeah. And I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your
We need
support.
we need more people to stand up and honor their own constitutional rights, do whatever they can to press for truth and transparency and accountability. Yeah. Very good.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. These meetings need.
We need to get more people to attend these meetings and then they can find out what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But you guys are getting it out there by way of what you're doing, so
Yeah.
that's an excellent start right there. Well, you even got a round of applause from one gentleman that was in there. I wasn't sure if do you know who that gentleman is right there?
No, I don't know who it is.
But he did. He responded spontaneously to it.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the advisory board does, you know, regarding your statements.
Yeah, right now they're hearing a complaint that I filed.
Oh.
As far as, yeah.
Because you filed one in advance of the
Same one
meeting.
that I filed too?
Oh, they're hearing yours too then, right?
Yeah, I turned mine in too. Is that Ethan Graffe?
Yeah.
That means that they're discussing your complaints right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, regarding our visit to San Juan
Oh, I think I
County Public Health.
turned that one about Stearman too. I think that I should have said that in that too.
Let me do something here. So right now, while they are meeting in closed session, they are looking at complaints filed by Adam Howell and Justin Chee. And those are being discussed by the Citizen Advisory Board.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any indication of when they may reach some kind of a decision about it, or what is their object, what their duty?
Well, I think that they are reviewing the complaint right now, and it seems like a simple enough one that they could come to a conclusion about it tonight.
Okay.
You know, but
Whether or not there was proper action by
yeah.
the police.
So it started with a complaint to Farmington Police Department. You know, a written complaint that I did in the lobby, so it was It wasn't super lengthy.
And you filmed that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
the complaints that we did, we actually have it on our channels.
Okay, good.
Two of them were with the police. Two of them were with Adam at the time.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the follow-up is, if there's any kind of disciplinary action or any kind of counseling or advisement.
Right.
Training.
Yeah, training, yeah. That's what's needed.
Yeah, we are very concerned that these police officers don't understand the 5 elements of the First Amendment, you know, the 5 freedoms that we're supposed to have.
Right. Those are pretty basic.
Yeah.
Everybody should know those, even young children.
Yeah. And RAPS is the acronym that helps me remember.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
That's cool to remember, RAPS.
Yeah.
And Justin's going to have that on the back of his business card soon.
Yeah. So one of David's good friend of his that he works with is helping out with some business cards. You know,
That's cool.
Maybe he might be interested.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, Daniel's good. He's a pro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he works with us at Tri-City Record. He came on as a graphic designer and a paginator. He does page layout.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you
What's
guys.
How can they get your information online, your news? What do we?
Tri-City-Record-NM.com, and the paper is free. We've got many outlets, over 70 outlets where it's free. Although if you go to Speedway, they have some corporate policy where they have to charge $1 for it. So don't go there. But otherwise, you stop by the office downtown, 108 West Main, get a free copy.
Yeah.
And you can find it at many other locations. And we've been in print now 5 days a week since May 22nd.
Yeah.
So covered a lot of different stories.
You guys put as a link to the live? Is it Tri-City?
Tri-City-Record-NM.com.
Tri-City and then?
Tri-City
Record?
Yeah, Tri-City-Record-NM.com, yes. That's the name of our website. And you can upload that and read it for free as well, online. If you read it online, you'll see a lot more photographs and you might see a little more detail in some cases, but yeah. And they can contact me at DAlbright@TricityRecordNM.com if you've got a story you would like for me to check into.
Here you go. Healthy.
Right on, yeah, I've been asking about the Highway 64 salvage yard case as well.
I forgot, it was not his jurisdiction, but yeah, it's
through San Juan County.
Well, it's San Juan County, and then maybe, I think it's still under their jurisdiction, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a response back from my records request. I requested all the records pertaining to that case.
Okay.
And they basically just said, we're not ready, we haven't had enough time to respond to the request yet.
How long ago did you do that? Roughly, maybe a couple weeks or longer?
It's been probably at least 15 days.
Yeah. Okay.
So
they can definitely drag their feet some.
Yeah, and then I would think that it's still under investigation.
Oh yeah.
That they're like trying to figure out how to redact documents that they're going to share, if they're going to share them, you know.
The one thing I told them, I forgot the Stearman and Marquez did, they redacted the video, the body cams.
Oh, that's right, from right here in the lobby and outside. Like they redacted the whole part of them bullying you out to the sidewalk.
Oh, they redacted that once you got the records. Although when it was on your channel initially, it was there because I watched that. Yeah. Well, you guys are doing good work. I appreciate what you're doing, and your channels are going to just blossom more and more because people are, they're going to resonate with the message that you're basically just trying to protect our constitutional rights.
Yeah.
And trying to reinforce that these are public servants.
Yeah.
They need to understand that.
In public spaces.
In public spaces, right on.
Yeah.
After that incident with them trying to charge him with the criminal summons with criminal trespass, resisting arrest and concealing identity, that's when they started putting up those curtains.
Oh, the curtains went up after that. It's curtains. What's going on behind the curtain? Wizard of Oz type stuff? That's pretty weird.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for the support, Four Corners Report.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for the support, David Albright.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
You're very welcome. It's going to be a pleasure to write about it, this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, instead of just having public officials cheerleading and patting each other on the back, you have some people who are redressing grievances and trying to go through with their civil discourse. And
well, it takes courage to do what you guys did. It took some thought to sit there and write, express yourself, get up and make a statement.
Right.
And I could see a couple of heads nodding, and the advisory board was taking note.
Yeah.
That some of those actions probably were very improper.
Yeah.
And illegal.
Yeah.
Right. Well, shall we? Well, are you guys going to stick around until after that closed session and see what's going on? Is that what you're?
I think we should. I mean,
you might as well, since you're doing your job, your due diligence.
Yeah.
I had a long day, so I think I'm going to. So
I hear you.
This is my copy. I got another story written that was kind of time consuming. It was about an upbeat thing though, Indian cultural arts at the Aztec ruins.
Yeah.
Some great music, Levi Platero.
Nice.
That's
Man.
Yeah, I'm covering on that.
Matt Dorsey, those are the curtains that we paid for.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What's that? The curtains that, yeah, they had to close the curtains that you paid for.
Right?
Yeah. Well, they're getting a real important message, you know, that there are citizens like you guys.
Right.
How long have you been doing what you're doing now, Adam?
Well, video journalism, well, I guess when I was in high school, I was doing.
You started doing something in high school?
In high school, yeah, when we had the cassette, VHS.
Did you?
Tapes, yeah. I was working for, doing some stuff with the community access channel in Los Alamos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Okay.
But I didn't really push it a whole lot until the past year.
Did you go to school in Durango, or what did you study? Did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Fort Lewis College studying political science and communications. Wrote for the college newspaper.
Oh, good.
And
You've got the perfect background to do what you're doing.
Yeah, I've got a website now where I can write whatever is lawful to write and whatever ideas I see fit. I don't have.
Cool, man. What is your website?
Pressfortransparency.com.
Okay, I haven't visited that yet. Pressfortransparency.com. It's FOR, transparency?
Yep.
Okay. That's important. Well, yeah, you're using your background, your education for something very positive.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Congratulations, man.
Hey, thanks for caring.
Right on. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks for
I
showing
appreciate
up.
what you guys are doing.
Hey, man, good to see you.
Yeah, keep it up. Yeah.
Okay, let's see who's in the chat. Oh, JC News Now.
You on your chat?
Yeah, JC News Now is here. Welcome in.
What's up, JC? Good to see you here.
Yeah, so we redressed our grievances to the Citizen Complaint Advisory Committee here in Farmington, New Mexico. And then before that we heard the police chief and some other staff from Farmington Police Department talking about the history of complaints over the past couple months, I guess, and how it compares to the past.
And I know there's much more people whose rights were violated here in this town. I know I've got comments when I first started on my channel. With many people, because they just don't know the 5 basic elements under the First Amendment.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yep. But one thing I haven't heard is I haven't heard the committee talk about individual complaints. So I'm wondering if the complaints represent, what is it? Represent an issue that's they consider private, or state law considers private, personnel issues. Like in Colorado, personnel issues are considered private. So I'm wondering if it's the same thing here, where they can't talk about personnel issues in public, and they're just generally and broadly talking about the statistics of the complaints.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Matt. Press Ben.
Still got a little attitude on there.
They've put up some curtains recently, so that's a new thing. You got the calendar right here.
The internet no more. They tried their best to put up unlawful signs.
Where's this doorbell?
Adjustment.
There's a doorbell here. So if you want to go into the meeting, you have to ring this bell. What do you guys think of that? Because they basically lock the door during the meetings. It's probably locked right now. There's a key. You gotta have a special card to get in here. But when we first came in at the beginning of the meeting, Andrea let us in and it was locked. The door was locked before we went in. So that's kind of interesting. It's gonna be a long day for me. It's gonna be a very long day.
Yeah, this is where it all went down. Sand here, and the bin, concrete in this lobby. They did spirit on me, what they did. I'm pretty sure Steele was one that was brave enough to come in front of my camera and make himself look like a clown.
Yeah, JC News Now, there was basically like 3 people that commented tonight. Four Corner, Fistntheair and I, and then this other guy talked about the mass shooting.
Major transparency. You guys got major transparency with your life, show some support.
We're here at Farmington City Hall, where the Citizens Complaint Advisory Committee is meeting in executive session to talk about our complaints against Ethan Graffe for forcing us to leave San Juan County Public Health under threat of citation. They took over 80 days. The City of Farmington took over 80 days to respond to our complaints, or at least to mine. And then when they did respond, they said it was really short, like 1 or 2 words. You know, it was like wasn't even complete sentences. You know, they basically said, you know, we agreed that there was unsatisfactory performance, and then the other thing was overruled. So, you know, I alleged a violation of the law, you know, civil rights, and they basically brushed it off and overruled my claim in that complaint. So then once I got that back, I had 14 days to submit it back. So I had to write a letter to City Hall saying that I wanted the Citizens Complaint Advisory Committee to hear my case separately from the Internal Affairs Division of Farmington Police Department. So that's what they're doing now. They're having an executive session to talk about personnel issues, specifically our complaints.
Hey, Preston.
What's up?
You want to give a little bit of info what you're going through up in Colorado?
Sure. Yeah, I am, well, currently, I don't have any court hearings, but I went on a public tour at Durango Art Center, which is a property that's fractionally owned by the city of Durango and fractionally owned by Durango Art Center as tenants in common. Checked out the gift shop, the gallery, and the theater. In the theater, there were some people on stage. The theater was wide open, the doors were wide open. I was there during business hours. They got butthurt. They told me to stop recording, told me it wasn't open to the public, even though it was. So they distorted the facts. And then Brenda McCone made a false call to 911 saying that I reached for pepper spray and that I was harassing people. And then she told the police that it was private property and that they did not receive public funding, both of which were false. So over the course of a year and the past few months, I've been, you know, I've basically tried to fight it in court. I had had some success, at least I had success requesting for a jury trial. So I had a, you know, they said I could have a jury of 6. And then at some point I decided to hire an attorney who, you know, heard and read the facts of the case, watched the videos, but he tried to push me to take a plea deal. He said, "Oh, this is the best deal you're going to get, this plea deal, where you know, take a deferred judgment, and then you remove your video from the internet, and then you won't be charged restitution." They wanted to charge me $15,000 in restitution for my visit to this public property on a Saturday. So I said, "No, I'm not taking this plea deal. I'm not taking my video down." And there was another offer. They said, "Well, if you just agree not to contest another protection order, then we'll agree to dismiss the case." I said, "No, I'm not going to let you do some double jeopardy thing against me." So one of these guys that I encountered, the president of the art center, filed a protection order against me while I was at the facility, well, after my visit, and he lied to a judge. Him and Brendan McCone, they both filed protection orders against me, and I had to fight them both at the same hearing with a judge that was visiting remotely via WebEx. He was on a freaking screen. And in order for me to show my video, I had to hold a laptop up to another laptop while my video was playing and show the judge what happened. And you know, basically, Brenda said that I'd been calling her since I had published her phone number. I said, "No, I did not call her. You have no proof of that." And it was a public record since she called and told dispatch what her phone number was. So the judge said, "No, that's not a valid excuse for a protection order," and denied her protection order. But then this other guy, Michael, claimed that I had reached for a can of pepper spray in a threatening way and touched it on my belt. It was like behind my back.
Is they telling me that there was no proof of you?
Yeah.
They're just going by hearsay.
Yeah, this guy had no evidence in court, and the judge approved his protection order against me. So he said, based on the pepper spray and the video recording surveillance of the license plate and the VIN number, which I did, when he was out there, he went out there and, talked some shit to me and basically issued a veiled threat to me about what he would do if he found me somewhere some other time. And all I did was ask him what his name was and video record his card. And so the judge issued it, and then I appealed it within 14 days. And the district court judge eventually denied my appeal. So I can't even go to that facility for another year and a half, basically. And
so when you went into this Durango Art Center, the doors were wide open?
The doors were wide open.
Didn't say nothing like private property, no signs up?
There was no private property signs, and there was a sign above the door that said Community Art Center Theater, I believe, implying that it's a community public place, and it is, because the city of Durango owns it. As a tenant in common, and helped fund it, helped fund repairs for the, they helped fund the repairs for the roof, for example. So these prosecutors they wouldn't give up, and my attorney most recently, at my most recent hearing, he said, they're offering to give you a they're offering to give you a diversion agreement if you just remove your video of the incident and agree not to publish any more videos with these witnesses' names in it, and remove all the videos with their names in it. I said, no, I'm not removing these videos. And they said, also, you got to remove her contact information. That was what the agreement said.
David's asking you a question. Did you appeal or reach out to Institute for Justice?
No, it's still basically, no, but I have asked my attorney about appeals, and he seems to be dragging his feet. So I've asked him to appeal the protection order to a higher court, to the appeals court. And then, so I saw this diversion agreement. I wanted to just, I really just wanted to get a copy of it and leave, but the only way I could take it with me is if I signed it, basically. And then, I thought, well, if this thing gets dismissed after 18 months, that'll be the exact time when I can contest the protection order and then maybe go back into the facility. Because I can't go back in the facility either way. So I decided to sign this agreement, and all it basically says that I have to make contact with the diversion coordinator once a month. But I don't, and there's going to be some other strings attached that I don't know about.
I'm not always a fire attorney, he says.
Yeah, well, it's easy to say that, but then when you have no other attorney to work with, and then you have all this experience getting rejected by attorney after attorney after attorney, almost every attorney in Durango has rejected me for this case, for that particular trespassing case. So it's easy to look at it from the outside and say, hey, go get a new attorney. But then who's going to take the case? Nobody that I don't know anybody in Durango. I've heard attorneys say you're going to lose the case and you're going to become mentally ill trying to fight it. And I've had attorneys say, no, we don't have time for your case. Attorneys want to take on like the high profile murder and felony cases. So it's easy to say that from the outside looking in. Yeah, get a new attorney. I understand. I agree. I wish there was an attorney that would say, hey, we're going to fight for your civil rights until the end, until we go through the jury trial. Pro se, Popper's affidavit, pro se, file appeal, as LSO, judicial misconduct, state board, attorney, disciplinary board for state attorney. Oh, the bar grievance basically is what it sounds like. He's talking about bar grievance. Yeah, well, I'm not looking for any kind of. It sounds like you're asking me to. Complain about the performance of my attorney or the judge. And again, that's easy to say from the outside, but then if you piss off your attorney or the judge who's helping you out or that's involved in the case, you have to think about what kind of retaliation that can cause. And I don't want that, man. I don't want retaliation. I'm trying to work with what I have, which is very little. And I have tried working as a pro se defendant. I filed tons of motions. Most of them have been rejected. I've seen other pro se defendants go to jury trial and then stumble and get convicted, and having prosecutor object to their work in the jury trial over and over again to keep them from even telling the whole story. And I think if I have an attorney, at least I'd be able to tell my story in court at a jury trial.
And again, sadly, there's zero profit in a small arrest that happens to one-way people.
Yeah, so I have paid an attorney a bunch of money for this case, and I would pay him even more for a jury trial. And the risks, there's financial risk up front with fighting the case, like $16,500 in fees for me, possible fees. So, there's obviously no financial incentive right now for me. In fact, there's financial problems possibly if I lose. But it's not over really. We got 18 months to be compliant with this process or not be compliant, and then we go back to a jury trial. And that's where it's at.
Truth seeker, yeah. truth seeker says, so you piss them off, you're screwed. Where's the truth?
Piss off the people involved, yeah, like the judge or the attorneys, yeah. I don't.
Yeah,
Not-
yeah, chopper. The system is built for us to fail, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think a jury trial's opinion is respectable, but when your attorney, like my attorney, has pushed so hard for me to take this agreement or take a plea deal and not fight for me, and then he also says that he thinks I'm going to lose.
We're back in session.
Okay, thank you. We're going back in, guys. Thank you.
There is no other attorney. City of Farmington sits on any
Where you
city.
get your business. Hey, otherwise, Siri?
All about you people.
I have no clue.
All right, we are back in open session. So, in closed meeting, we reviewed and considered case number 2023-015. I'll entertain a motion for case determination on that case.
I make a motion for case determination on case 2023-015.
My second.
And what is your determination?
That, the findings of
Sergeant Gaines.
For the
Exoneration
on code of conduct, 1.01 violation of rules exonerated, and on code of conduct, 1.03 unsatisfactory performance sustained.
And is it your motion to uphold Sergeant Gaines' findings and conclusions?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion to approve Sergeant Gaines' findings of exonerate on the code of conduct violations of rules and sustained on code of conduct unsatisfactory performance, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is the determination of this committee, is that the finding, Mr. Howell and Mr. Chi, that you received from Sergeant Gaines is upheld. Officer Graffe, he has been exonerated from any violations of rules, and he's been sustained on unsatisfactory performance. You have 15 days. If you wish to appeal that, you take that to the city manager. So you have 15 days for your appeal on that.
Thanks for the info and the update.
All right, is there anything else?
I just have one more thing I forgot to mention is I asked for the body cams of Stearman and Gaines, the incident that happened on 5/16/23, 5/16/23. They went and redacted their cameras, the part where they bullied me out to the out to the sidewalk. They redacted their cameras.
You want a copy of the video?
No, I got copies, but what they did is they redacted it.
You would need to take that up in your appeal with the city manager then.
Thank you.
All right, if not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for all your time, everybody. Appreciate it.
Said I won't be on the meeting
Michelle and I are gonna review and present. Yes, 2017.
Okay. Let me go make some copies right now and I'll get it to you in just a second. Okay.
Lori and I are the only ones. You want those back?
Yeah, these feel great. I grow mine, it's got like rainbow colors, you know. Y'all be safe out there.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll go make some copies of that other one right now.
I was surprised I hadn't heard from you, because usually you're on top of this. Thank you.
You ready? Yeah. Let's go.
So this is going to be like my interior quad's not firing, so it's not keeping my kneecap in place anymore.
Locked. Okay. Yeah, they basically rubber stamped the Sergeant Gaines's findings. Thank you, JC News Now. It is. See, JC News Now, I think you understand where we're coming from. The context of what we're dealing with and what I've been dealing with. At the same time, I don't know really what to expect further from the process I'm in. There's a lot that could happen still in the system that I'm in.
Yes, appreciate it, everybody. I'm just giving you a room full of tyrants, right?
Yep. All right, guys. Yeah, it's not over, JC News Now. All right, guys. Thank you for joining this broadcast of the meeting and our attendance. Appreciate you. Appreciate you watching and caring about these civic matters. I'm gonna get off of here. It's been about 90 minutes, about an hour and a half. So thanks everybody for joining in, and you'll definitely be seeing us out together again in public, doing our tours. We're not going to stop because we enjoy it. We enjoy flexing our rights, and we enjoy showing people what's going on out there. You guys have a good evening. I'm out of here. See you, JC News Now. Have a good night.